Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise last month. Here is our new logo. So when you buy a shirt or when you buy a compression shirt or joggers, you will see this logo. And here is my profile so that you will know it is me. And let's get to the first game that we had on the Tuesday night NBA docket. It was the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors. And for the last couple of weeks, what have I been saying about the Toronto Raptors? Sometimes they hit and miss. But last night, they did a whole lot of hitting shots and making shots, timely shots. And even though it became a blowout, it was close at the start of the game. So with the Miami Heat, you have Andrew Wiggins, 24 points. Bam Adebayo, 7 points. Davion Mitchell, 9 points. Tyler Hero, 14 points. Pelly Larson, 7 points. Bench production, Myron Garner, 0 points. Big old goose egg in 3 minutes for him. Keyshawn Johnson, 7 points in 3 minutes for him. Jamie Jaquez Jr., 8 points. Vladston Golden, 0 points in 3 minutes. Kyle Ware, 5 points in 17 minutes. Norman Powell, 14 points in 24 minutes. Trevor Neals, 0 points, big old goose egg in 3 minutes. And Kasparis Jakakunis, 0 points in 13 minutes. Now for the Toronto Raptors, Brandon Ingram, 23 points. R.J. Barrett, 16 points. Scotty Barnes, 25 points. Jacob Pelotti, 17 points. Emmanuel Quickly, 3 points. Sandro Mashulevi, 11 points. Trace Jackson Davis, big old goose egg in 3 minutes, 0 points. Jamison Battle, 4 points. Colin Murray Boyles, 6 points. 6 points. Jonathan Mogul, 0 points in 3 minutes. Jamal Sheed, 3 points in 24 minutes. Jacoby Walter, 9 points in 27 minutes. Grady Dick, 4 points in 3 minutes. 4 points in 3 minutes. Garrett Temple did not play because of coach's decision. Now, when we get to the team statistics of this game and we look at the team statistics, we see where the Raptors, they pretty much held the edge in everything last night from shooting from the floor, percentage shooting from the floor, 3-point percentage, free throws. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The Heat, they did make more free throws than the Raptors did, and they attempted more. So that's one edge the Heat had. Rebounds, plus 12 for the Raptors. This is where the advantage Raptors starts to come. Rebounds, plus 12 for Toronto. Defensive rebounds, plus 7. Turnovers, Miami had 3 more turnovers than the Raptors. Fast break points, not many fast break points in this game because it was a blowout. 18 fast break points for the Toronto Raptors, 15 points for the Miami Heat. And points in the paint. The majority of the Raptors' points were in the paint. 70 of their 121 were in the paint. That is 65% of their scoring. It transpired in the paint last night. And for the Miami Heat, just a fraction of that was just a fraction of their scoring was in the paint last night with 34 points. You look at the largest leader of the game, 27 points for the Raptors. Largest leader of the game was 2 for the Miami Heat. So I'm not going to show y'all too many highlights of this game, but we all know that this game is just for the hell of it. I'm going to show y'all a few highlights, and we're going to get to some more meaningful action. So here it is. First play. Well, first few minutes, Toronto was up. Then we get to, I'm going to just say, let's just go to the second quarter. This is the closest that the game was for the Miami Heat until the Raptors went on their run. So as you all can see, Toronto Raptors ball movement was precise last night. They were so ball dominant to the point where this was pretty much a game that was unwatchable. And as you all can see, fourth quarter, up by 30 at this point in the game. Well, excuse me, up by 27. And then all of a sudden, you see where Toronto, they pretty much had this game at the end of the third quarter. But I watched the entirety of the game, and it was pretty much, a one-sided affair, as you all can see. So now, once we get to the standings, the updated standings, you have the Toronto Raptors at 6, and you have the Miami Heat at 10. They clinched a playoff berth last night with a loss. That sounds so odd to me. How can you clinch something when you lost the game? But I know how, because one thing is Miami, they own the tiebreaker with everybody else that is below them. Milwaukee, Chicago, everybody. They beaten everybody below them at least twice this season. And we're getting to the point where there's only 3 games left in the entirety of the NBA regular season. Playoffs will start not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So we are pretty much at that time where it's the nitty-gritty time, and we're only focusing on playoff matchups, because at this point, that's what the NBA is all about. That's why I say last week of the NBA season, it's all about playoff matchups and who they want to play. And who do they have, and who do they want to play, and what are the best matchups. Now, credit, there are some matchups in the playoffs that are going to be a little one-sided. Now, one thing about this is with Miami, if they make it to the playoffs, if they make it out of the play-in tournament in the playoffs, they'll be facing Detroit or Boston in the first round. Now, Miami, I could see Miami. Worst case scenario in the first round, Miami gets swept. Best case scenario, Miami has a gentleman's sweep and they lose in 5 games. But Miami, they are not going very far in these playoffs. So when we start talking about the next game on the list, the Charlotte Hornets and the Boston Celtics. Now, these two teams, they have had some good matchups throughout this season. I remember a month and a half ago, Charlotte, they came to Boston and they pretty much they went on a shooting rampage, and they shot very efficiently in Boston. Then just a week and a half ago, Boston went to Charlotte and they won in Charlotte, 114-99. Now, last night, Charlotte came back to Boston, and Boston, they held home court and won. But as you all can see, the Charlotte Hornets, they are no slouch, and they are nothing to scoff at. Charlotte Hornets, Miles Bridges, 13 points. Masa Bati, 2 points. Brandon Miller, 20 points. LaMelo Ball, 36 points. Con Knipple, 13 points. Grant Williams, 9 points. Ryan Calibrenner, 4 points. Pat Connaughton, 0 points. Josh Green, 3 points. Simon Jones, 2 points. For the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, 23 points. Sam Hauser, 5 points. You had Namas Quetta and Derek White each have 12 points. Jaylen Brown had 35 points. Bench production for the Celtics, Nikola Vucevic, 2 points. Peyton Pritchard, 12 points. Baylor Sherman, 3 points. Jordan Walsh, 9 points. Everybody else on the Celtics did not play because of coach's decision. Now, one thing about it is when it comes to the Celtics, we already know that the Celtics, they were one of the teams that were supposed to be in the same boat as the Miami Heat coming into this season when it came to play-in tournament teams. But Jaylen Brown, with Jason Tatum coming back, Celtics have exceeded everybody's expectations. And dare I say that the Boston Celtics, they can pretty much, they can pretty much make it to the Eastern Conference and have home court throughout through the Eastern Conference. Now, I know that the Pistons, they have home court throughout the Eastern Conference, but I'm expecting somebody to beat the Detroit Pistons in the first or second round. I don't know who it's going to be. It may even be the Charlotte Hornets, but the Detroit Pistons, they don't have a strong enough team. And Cade Cunningham is out, and there's only so much that Jalen Duren for the Pistons and Tobias Harris can do. Tobias Harris, he has had shooting droughts here. He's had shooting droughts there. But in the playoffs, you can't have shooting droughts because every game that an NBA team plays in the playoffs in a 7-game series is critical because one game, one play can change the entirety of a series. And that's some things the average fan, sometimes they don't understand that. And sometimes you have journalists who are all over the internet, all on national TV. Sometimes they really don't understand the magnitude of what some plays have and hold weight on a playoff series. But when I talk about the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics, see, the Celtics last year, what they did in the playoffs versus the Knicks, that holds weight for them. They know that they ain't have no business losing the first 2 games at home last season, well, in the playoffs. And they were up by 20 in the first game and up by 15 in the second game of last season versus in the playoffs last season versus the Knicks. Now, if the Celtics have that chance to play New York again, I'm not so sure that the Boston Celtics, they have one of those collapses again. As a matter of fact, I don't see Boston having a collapse like that again. Because we all know that the New York Knicks, let me tell y'all something about New York Knicks. New York Knicks are one of those teams that you have to pray that they get to the NBA Finals. That's one thing. See, every New York Knicks fan knows this, from Fat Joe to Stephen A. Smith, Timothy Chalamet, Tracy Morgan, and every other Spike Lee, every other big-time New York Knicks fan. You have to pray for the Knicks to get there. Because the Knicks, they just ain't going to get there on pure talent. Things have to fall their way, and fate has to be on their side. That's another word that a lot of people use. Fate has to be on their side. But I don't think fate is going to be on their side if the Knicks have to face the Celtics. I just don't. And for the Charlotte Hornets, this is a learning. I'm gonna say this is not a rebuilding year, but this wasn't a year where we saw them as play-in a play-in contender. I mean, we didn't see them as that. So just for the Hornets to be in this situation this late in the season is surprising to me. The Charlotte Hornets, they gonna make the play-in tournament no matter what because we only have 72 hours left in this NBA season. So Charlotte Hornets, they are already in the play-in tournament as far as I'm concerned. We just want to see who they are going to play in the play-in tournament and who they will be playing in the playoffs when the playoffs get started. But as for these highlights, Jason Tatum, he had a basket right there. That's 2 of his 23. Jaylen Brown, that's 3 of his 35 right there. And it was pretty much, second half, it was pretty much, all Boston. If it would on the scoreboard, it was still a close game. But we all know that Boston, when they have that momentum at home, it's tough to stop Boston at home when they get that momentum and that crowd start going. Even though Charlotte had a valiant effort, as you can see right here, Boston, they still Peyton Pritchard for 3. I tell y'all, Boston, their average 3-point attempts are 45. They shoot 45 threes a game, and they make 22 of them on average. On average, they make 22. And that was one of their 3-pointers that they made last night. So we get to the last few minutes. Boston is up by 12 with under 6 minutes left, and they would go on to win. And as you all can see, we get down to the final seconds of the game where it was basically a 113-102 victory. The Celtics are at the second spot in the Eastern Conference, and the Charlotte Hornets are 9th in the Eastern Conference. So the good part about the Charlotte Hornets is they are going to make the play-in tournament no matter what. No matter how bad they look these last 3 games of the season, they are going to end up playing either the Orlando Magic, the Philadelphia 76ers, or the Toronto Raptors. Those are going to be the matchups for the Charlotte Hornets. And Boston, they are just going to be sitting watching the play-in tournament to see who they are going to play in the first round of the playoffs. So, next game I am going to cover is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, everybody, let's talk about it. Y'all all know that I am a big Lakers fan, and last night it really wasn't no good showing. It really wasn't, because it's not even about the injuries when it comes to the Lakers. It's really not, because it's all about the defense. Because Lakers, that's the problem. See, all last month, in the month of March, they played 17 games, went 15-2. Everything was looking great. Everything was looking up. They almost had a chance, they almost had a chance to get the second spot over the Spurs. But we all know that was a little bit outlandish for us to think about. But as far as defensively, the Lakers, they got one of the worst defenses in the NBA. And as far as they score 2 more points than they allow. So you basically, in most of the games that they've won by 2 or 3 baskets. Yeah, 2 or 3 baskets here and there. And we all know for like a championship team, if you winning games by 2 and 3 baskets, you're not gonna go very far in the playoffs. But like I said, this is the Lakers. Now the Lakers can turn it on and off. Now that's the one thing that some people they don't like about the Lakers. That's one of the reasons why I always say, hey, when I got my journalistic hat on, I say it all depends on what Lakers team shows up, because the Lakers team that showed up last night, that's the Lakers team that can get swept in the first round. That ain't gonna be able to get no wins in the first round. And don't let the Lakers drop out of the top 5 and go to the play-in tournament, which that is impossible, because now the Lakers are number 5 and play-in tournament it's already done. Play-in tournament matchups for the Western Conference are already done. But like I was telling people yesterday, I am not upset. Not upset, because the Lakers, if you are the Lakers, you want to play the Rockets. Okay? You want to play the Rockets. So the Lakers and Rockets, that's a good matchup. And in that series, well, in the Lakers Rockets series, because that's who they are going to play, I can say that home court advantage, it really don't matter in this series, because the Lakers have won on the Rockets home floor and the Rockets have won on the Lakers home floor. But one thing that is going to hurt the Rockets and the one thing that is going to hurt the Lakers is defensive presence. When it comes to the Lakers, that's going to hurt the Lakers. The Rockets, what's going to hurt them is late game situations. So this series for the Lakers and Rockets is pretty much, it's going to be a pick'em series, because you really don't have a clear-cut favorite in this series if we all being real about it. And every other media pundit has said the exact same thing. The Lakers and Rockets are spitting images of each other. You got one big guy that can stand in the paint. DeAndre Ayton, he doesn't have an effect on the game for the Lakers. He's just a body out there at the end of the day. He's just a body out there. And for the Houston Rockets, sometimes you have Alfred Sengun that can take over the game defensively. And then other times you have Amen Thompson, who can take over, his brother Azur Thompson, who can take over the game defensively. But they are not really defensive shutdown presence like you need in the playoffs. That's why I say, let's say this is going to be a series where they just trading baskets. That's all. Just trading baskets. And it is not going to be one of those series where they have too many runs where it's all about defense. Now, if the Lakers can have 4 good games of, where the Rockets go scoreless for about 4, maybe 5 minutes, then the Lakers can probably win the series. But you can't depend on a team having shooting droughts. You got to defend. And that's one reason why I believe that the Lakers, they may be able to get away with it in the Rockets series. But I'm gonna say this. If they play Denver or Minnesota in the second round, do we really think that the Lakers can get past a second round matchup with the Denver Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves? And let's say even if they do, you still got to face the Spurs. And don't let the Thunder be the last team standing and the Lakers got to go through the Thunder. I'm going to tell y'all something. When it comes to the Lakers and Thunder, all throughout the entirety of the season, every game except for the second game has been a blowout. Second game, they played on February 9th. OKC won by 9 points, but every other game, first game, it was 19-point 19-point victory for the Thunder. Third game, it was a 37-point victory for the Thunder. Last night, it was a 26-point victory for the Thunder. So Lakers, they pretty much they not a good matchup when it comes to the Thunder. They really not. And as you all can see, when it comes to these highlights, pretty much the Lakers, they pretty much, rested all their starters. They getting ready for the playoffs, getting ready for the Rockets. Now, the Thunder, they just going through the motions. And the Thunder, they basically been going through the motions all season. I know the Thunder, they just ready for the playoffs. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Every NBA fan is ready for the playoffs. So everybody be talking about how the NBA ratings are dropping and stuff. Not during the playoffs. I believe that's because, there is so many. Now, I'm not going to say that the NBA has too many games. The NBA has an 82-game regular season. And let's just, everybody, America, world, let's just be real with ourselves. We don't watch every NBA game. We don't watch every meaningful regular season NBA game. There's a lot of times where I listen to the game. A primetime matchup that everybody is watching. Sometimes I just listen to it because I'm working on other things when it comes to the NBA and also, college basketball and stuff. I'm working on other, sports commentary. But I always make an effort to keep tabs on what happens from night to night when it comes to the NBA. But watching every single NBA regular season game, no, because a lot of these teams, that they're not going anywhere, and that they don't have any. I'm gonna say this: teams like the Utah Jazz, they don't have any prime time slots, so there is no reason for people to cover them. And like I said, before the season started, Charlotte, I have never covered Charlotte Hornets basketball until recently, because they always had been one of those teams that were at the bottom of the barrel. But now, since they are starting to become one of those teams that are worth watching, and they are a team that has some, I'll say, some playoff relevance right now. It's a team that they are able to. It's a team that is able to come and. The word I'm trying to say is the word that I'm trying to say is be marketable. So the Charlotte Hornets, dare I say, they are becoming marketable with LaMelo Ball, Concanipple, and Brandon Miller. They are, but we all know that the NBA, if there's one team if there's one NBA team that is going to have to market themselves without any television revenue, well, I'm not going to say any, but little to no television revenue, it is the Charlotte Hornets. Now, let me get to the final game of last night's schedule. The Rockets and the Phoenix Suns. So, Phoenix Suns are now in the play-in tournament. Everybody, the play-in tournament bracket is set for the Western Conference. You have the Suns, Lakers, Trailblazers, and the Warriors. And for the Western Conference, the top 6, everything is set. Everything is set. So the top 10 for the West is good. And we still have 5 teams in the East that really don't have that their seeding isn't set yet. That's what it is. Their seeding isn't set. But Back to the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets, Kevin Durant, 24 points. Jabari Smith Jr., 20 points. Alfred Sengun, 12 points. Amen Thompson, 22 points. Reed Shepard, 12 points. Jashawn Tate, 2 points. Terrian Eason, 12 points. Clint Capella, 2 points. Aaron Holiday, 12 points. Josh Okogie, 1 point. Phoenix Suns. When we get to the Phoenix Suns, and as far as their matchups throughout the entirety of the season, we see that the Rockets swept the regular season series. Phoenix Suns, Dillon Brooks, 10 points. Mark Williams, 19 points. Devin Booker, 31. Jordan Goodwin, 11 points. Jalen Green, 15 points. Royce O'Neal, 3 points. Ozo Agudagro, 8 points. Ryan Dunn, Rasheer Fleming, Kama Mulach, all had 0 points. Each 3 big goose eggs. Grayson Allen, 8 points. Colin Gillespie, Kobe Brea, and Colin Gillespie, Jameer Boa, Kobe Brea, all had 0 points. 3 big goose eggs on the chart for them. The statistics for both the Rockets and the Suns, as you all can see, the Rockets, they pretty much edged out the Suns in every category, and I do mean every category. 45% shooting from the floor, 3-point percentage 37, free throw percentage 94, rebounds 24 for the Rockets, 10 for the Suns. Defensive rebounds, 31 for the Rockets, 24 for the Suns. Assists, plus 11 for the Rockets. Turnovers, pretty much the same, 19 to 18. Fast break points, not too many fast break points since this was, you could pretty much say this was a blowout, but the Rockets, they had this game firmly in hand for the majority of it. And when it comes to points in the paint, plus 10 for the Rockets. Largest lead of this game, 15 points for the Rockets. Largest lead of the game for the Phoenix Suns, 21 points. So, the Rockets, let's see who they will face after I get done with these highlights. I will give you all the playoff scenarios and what playoff matchups will be good and which ones will be downright blowouts. So, there's the first quarter. Houston Rockets are up first couple of minutes. Then we get to the third quarter. Houston Rockets are down. Phoenix Suns with Dillon Brooks, they went up by 3 right here. And one thing I can say is Phoenix, Devin Booker, he's been in Phoenix for about 10 years, and I believe that this is a decent team, but it's not the team that he had with Phoenix. But one thing that I can say about the Phoenix Suns is the one good year that they had was the year where they made it to the finals and they had a chance to beat the Milwaukee Bucks if it wasn't for that Game 4 debacle. But now, I believe that as far as the Devin Booker era in Phoenix, it's coming to a close. It is. The highest point of the Devin Booker era was making it to the finals and almost winning the finals. If they would have won the finals, we obviously thinking about Giannis Antetokounmpo differently, and we saying that the Phoenix Suns are one of the most recent champions in the last decade. That's what we would be saying. But Phoenix, they really don't move the needle. Phoenix, they don't focus on defense. Their head coach, he doesn't focus on defense at all. He only focuses on efficiency and offense and outscoring the opponents. That's all. And that's what you see right here. Because in most of these highlights, you see where Phoenix is trading baskets with Houston. And that's basically how it's been for. That's basically how both of these teams match up. The Rockets, they trade baskets with their opponents, and the Suns, throughout the entirety of this season, have traded baskets with their opponents. That's why their record is so 7 games above 500 for the Phoenix Suns, and for the Houston Rockets, dare I say 21 games above 500. But we all know that the Rockets, they really haven't lit up the scoreboard as we hoped with Kevin Durant at the helm. We was expecting the Rockets to be one of the top 3 teams in the West. We didn't expect the Lakers to be number 4. But hey, look, it's like with the Lakers, I can say this: they are exceeding everybody's expectations, because we all know me. When the Lakers hired JJ Redick, I was trying to keep a open mind about it, because I mean the only way how JJ Redick got hired is because his commentary about basketball and stuff. That's the only way. Now, if he can get hired, I know I can get hired to a team. I know I can get hired and become a head coach, and not even a head coach. Just bring me in and let me come off the bench for about 15 minutes so I can get me a starting role on the basketball team. That's what I want. Just have me come in as a walk-on, give me 15 minutes, and I'm going to give you 15 points. I'm going to be scoring a point each and every minute. That way, you got to have me in the starting lineup. But all in all, last night, it was a very, very entertaining game outside of Toronto and Miami. And we only have 72 hours left in the regular season for the NBA. And then we can start talking about head coaching hot seats. And then going into next week, we can start talking about play-in tournament matchups. And with that, those are my reactions to last night's Tuesday night schedule of NBA basketball. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. Here is my here is my profile on Millions so that you know it's me. Here is my merchandise. Here's my merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise last month. This is the recent merchandise we rolled out. Here is our brand new logo. And here is my media feed. That way you can keep track of all of my different segments, sound bites. I just did the NCAA Men's Final Four. We just did a Monday night reaction yesterday, and we just did with this show, we are now completing the Tuesday night reaction of the NBA slate, and we are going to talk about the head coaching hot seat. I'm thinking later on this week or possibly early next week. I'm not sure, but one last thing I want everybody to remember is that the key is always on time.